Alright, how we doing, folks? Bull Marcus18205, numbers after the name. Marcus and friends over here. In this case, I'm not even playing, which is a little bit very different over here. My girl Tina's actually playing. She's playing as the Golden State Warriors. It's the first time ever playing a basketball game. I gave her 0 instructions. I wanted to put out the NBA Finals preview video like last week, which I ended up doing on a Friday. Make sure you catch that over here if you haven't seen it. Which, you know, even though I have it afterwards, even though the series is over, it's still entertaining to go back and look at it and see if you're right or wrong. And, you know, give you some perspective on that kind of stuff. I watched it before I did this one just to kind of remember what I said. Which, you know, is kind of how I still feel about it, honestly. Which is good. But, it was, I think it was like a Tuesday, I don't know. It was a couple days before we went on vacation. And there's Tina's best shot of the night right there. A couple days before we went on vacation, and I was didn't have enough time, and I was like, you know, I want to play like at least 2 games, get some footage for before and after. Maybe I get the after when I come back. You know, I was kind of debating as how I was going to play it, and Tina was like, don't worry, I'll play the game, I'll get you the footage. And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, I mean, I don't think you just played the game after like Dr. Mario. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. I was like, I haven't even played it on the PS4, so I can't fully even tell you the controls. I can kind of guesstimate some of them if they're somewhat similar, but to the Xbox version, but whatever. She was like, oh, you know, don't worry about it. I'll just play the game, whatever. And I just left the controller, and I went to go shower, and I went to go like eat dinner or something. I came back after like the first quarter, and you'll see the results over here. They aren't too pretty, but it's difficult. You know, it's interesting. I want to talk a little bit of basketball here, but I'm gonna sidetrack real quick. It's interesting grabbing somebody who maybe hasn't played since Dr. Mario, you know, who hasn't held the controller since the NES. It was things that we take for granted, which is, you know, just figuring out how to use a joystick or figuring out what buttons do. You know, she was explaining to me that the joystick didn't make sense to her. She wasn't sure how it worked, which you could kind of laugh at and, you know, be like, oh, what do you mean? You know, because for us, for video game players, it's second nature. But if you go and look at it and step back, joystick really isn't that natural of a thing to use. I kind of understood where she was coming from. I was like, you know, it makes sense what you're telling me, which is kind of crazy because my immediate reaction once I saw it, I was like, yo, what the hell happened over here? How, like, what the? You know, I like snapped. I was like, no way. I was like, we got to work this out. We got to get you better, blah, blah, blah. But it was entertaining. She at least had a good time with it. And I edited it out. She watched. There was like a cheerleader. She really liked the pre-game, post-game, and like the intermissions and timeouts and stuff. She loved that. And I was like, well, that's something that they definitely worked on in the series. I'm not going to speak too much on the game because I haven't played it enough. But I like it. I think it's good. I don't think it lives up to the best sports game ever moniker that it's received, but I think it's pretty good. Either way, NBA Finals. What did we see? What did we learn? The King brought one back for the land. The land. When I laugh when I hear that, I'm like, since when was Cleveland the land? Like, if anything was going to be the land, I don't know, make it something better, like LA or something. I don't know. Pasadena, something that has like some name to it, some pizzazz to it, not Cleveland. Ugh. Good for them. I'm really happy that LeBron won. I'm happy in the way that they did it and how LeBron kind of, you know, went back-to-back 41-point games and a triple-double. I think that's like ridiculous. It's impressive. Having said that, though, the more I think about it, and if I sit down honestly and really look at it, the Warriors did a lot of what they're doing in this game. Not necessarily check up half-point shots, but they kind of just blew it. You know, let me take you back. They were up 3-1. They didn't show up for Game 4, which is already bad sign number one. You can't. The Warriors this year did this way too often, and they're really good. So they got away with it a lot, where they just didn't show up for games. They just didn't care, honestly. They're like, oh, well, you know, we can play hard or we can win without playing hard, you know. You look back at a game like they played the Nets early in the year, and like Brook Lopez had a chance to tip in like a layup to win it. You know, like they should never even be in contention with the Nets, you know. But they just didn't care. They're like, whatever. They got bored, which is something that happens to really good teams. Which is, to me, it was kind of remarkable, the fact that they came back after winning the championship and had a better year than they did the year before, and, you know, broke the single-season record. That, to me, was impressive. I was like, whoa, like, these guys are, like, hungry. They still want it, you know. But the reality was they were the record, but they were lackadaisical, and I think that kind of ended up biting them over here, especially in Game 7. Game 5, Draymond Green suspended, right? There's no one's fault except for him. It's not like an excuse or anything, but I fully expect if Draymond Green plays that game, if Andrew Bogut's healthy, they win Game 5, and that's it. Like, I don't see any way that they probably don't. Andrew Bogut gets hurt. all of a sudden you're missing a key piece. I don't think people realize how important Andrew Bogut gets hurt. And I've heard in the past couple of days a lot of flack given to Steve Kerr for putting Ezeli back in late in the game. I'm not sure I'm watching the same game as everybody. Andrew Bogut is huge for this team. They traded Monte Ellis for Andrew Bogut, and he filled a defensive role that they don't have. You can't teach 7 feet, right? And you can't teach 7 feet that can pass, and you can't teach 7 feet that does the stuff that Andrew Bogut does. And that to me is irreplaceable. The small ball lineup, like the death lineup, whatever the hell they call it, to me it works because you get to play the other 5-6 minutes with Andrew Bogut. You can't play that lineup 48 minutes. I don't care how difficult it is to match up with. I don't care how many mismatches you cause. It is too much to ask for a bunch of undersized guys to stop a team that has like LeBron James, even Tristan Thompson to a certain extent, even though he's not much of an offensive powerhouse, but still getting him off the glass, that's work, you know? And you got to screen off of him. Andrew Bogut does stuff that you can't replace. Andrew Bogut sets screens that you can't replace. He is the linchpin of your defense down low. Let me give you an example, man. Not this year with Houston because they were horrible, but the year before, Dwight Howard was the key to that Houston team because he held down the paint and he protected that area like it was no one's business. That's the same thing Andrew Bogut does for this team. Without him, you're losing arguably your best defender. And Clay's your best one-on-one guy. But Andrew Bogut is overall what holds your defense together. I personally would have started Festus Ezeli right off the bat with him and played him pretty much the same time I play Andrew Bogut. Just, you know, don't close out him. Sometimes they close out Andrew Bogut. Oftentimes they don't, but sometimes they do. I wouldn't do that. What Steve Kerr did at the end of the game when he kind of threw Ezeli back out there, and then unfortunately Ezeli just isn't that good, right? Or not as good as Andrew Bogut. I mean, you got to remember, Andrew Bogut was the #1 pick, man, at the draft. Like, we're not talking about, like, you're not talking about just some random guy getting hurt. You're talking about a person who you physically can't replace on your team. That's way too much to ask for. What they tried to do, I think, with putting Ezeli back in there was to try to get some size because they were getting mauled in the paint and they were getting mauled with people just driving right by everybody. Because guess what? People drive by Steph Curry all the time, but it's a lot more difficult to drive by him when there's Andrew Bogut sitting down waiting next to the rim and saying, hey, you think you can come in here? No, I'm about to stuff your shot. Now there's nobody in there. You know, Draymond might rotate or something in there, but I bet he's going to get a charge. To me, losing Andrew Bogut changed the whole series. So you gave the Cavs life in Game 5. Amazing performance by LeBron. Amazing performance by Kyrie. I mean, the 41 points each. That was crazy. And hell, they still almost kind of won that game. they were really close throughout most of it. Game 6. You let them jump out early. They were still hot. You know, they were back home. Game 6 was going to be a really difficult game to win. They came back. I think it was a 9-point game at the start of the 4th quarter. They managed to come back, but it was whatever. And then Game 7, I mean, they were right there. To me, that was the worst game I've seen the Warriors play this year. Not necessarily the worst, but the worst, the most poorly executed game where they weren't playing Warriors ball, and they still almost won. To me, that just tells me that they're so much of a better team than Cleveland. It's not even close. But they didn't win. At the end of the day, hey, kudos to LeBron, kudos to his crew. They managed to keep it in there. They managed to fulfill in roles. And even Ty Lue, at points, kind of out-coached Steve Kerr a little bit. I find it inexcusable that Harrison Barnes was still on that basketball court in the 4th quarter in that game. He had the quick leash on Game 6. I know you want to trust the guys that got you there, but Harrison Barnes was not getting it done. He didn't even want to shoot, man. Get Leandro Barbosa out there. Get Sean. At least give me Sean Livingston out there who brings you size and could bring some penetration or whatnot. Or give me Barbosa, who was on fire. But don't give me Harrison Barnes, man. He wasn't doing it defensively. He wasn't doing it offensively. And then a little bit of carelessness there. You know, to me, what summarizes this series pretty well is that behind-the-back pass that Curry had that went out of bounds when the game was on the line. That, to me, kind of summarizes the Warriors season. Really good, really flashy. Still probably the best team. Hopefully they retool the free agency. But they got lackadaisical, and the Cavs made them pay for it, as any good team would. Hope you enjoyed the video. Deuces.